Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies for being tardy. I wanted to watch the rest of this endurance competition to know for sure who the new HOH is. And unfortunately for fans that want something different week to week, Tiffany is HOH again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to keep it a bean with you. I think Tiffany being a control freak is going to be her demise. I know a lot of her fans are celebrating the second HOH win a second week in a row, but actually all she's doing is making herself into a massive threat. Like she already was being disliked to make her into a threat. Now she's creating an argument that she is a comp beast now. That's the one thing she had going for her to let her last a little longer. Now that she doesn't have that to run to anymore, now a lot of players have no incentive to keep Tiffany past Final Five. Because if she can win this endurance, she can win a Final Three endurance. If I'm Xavier, after watching that, I'm not taking her anywhere near Final Three. See, that's what Tiffany doesn't understand. I think her need to keep Claire around made her talk herself into making herself a bigger threat to not make the end. Is Claire really worth your in-game win conditions? That's the question I would like Tiffany to ask herself, and it seems like she's already answered it for us. It seems as if she's willing to go to the end of the world with this woman, Claire. She talks to Cam. She tells Kai he needs to shut up and stop pining over SB. But in my opinion, Tiffany has done 3 times as much pining over Claire. I got fans asking me if Tiff is lesbian now because they think she has the hots for Claire. That's how serious this is getting for the community. Now, me being someone who likes to stick to the strategy, I don't care what your orientation is as long as your gameplay implementation is interesting. But when I'm watching this endurance comp tonight, when I see Xavier willfully throw the comp to allow Alyssa to be a sitting duck for the 6, and then I see Tiffany go out of her way to win a comp she didn't have to win, she just was HOH. If you were 2 HOHs in a row, now your threat level, I'd argue a lot of people now probably want Tiff gone before Kylan now, because Tiff can win, Kylan can't. Yeah, Kylan may be a threat here and there, but down the stretch, it becomes mental comps. Kylan has failed to win many mental comps. People will talk themselves into reasons why Tiffany shouldn't outlast Kylan now. So for the Tiffany fans in the back that may think this is a W for her, this could be a L that we have to wait on. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame. Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trio, the Rant God, Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, the Pro Black Prodigy, the Shadow Realm Shaman, the Pronoun Punisher, the No Sleep Assassin, here to bring balance back to Big Brother US Season 23, all of the above on that ISAT test, and ACT. You know what it is. And we're here for the 30th rant of Big Brother 23. I believe BB20 only had 30 rants, coach. And in this rant, it will be entitled It All Made Sense. In this rant, we're going to talk about DX and Brittany in the jury house. Thought that was a very nice segment. We're going to talk about SB's departure and some of the answers she gave to Julie. We're also going to talk about Tiffany as the new HOH now that we know the results. But there's a lot of other things I would like to discuss. There's a lot of other stories that I would like to discuss in rapid fire fashion so I don't forget them. Number 1, Big D and Alyssa both fell off before the episode even ended. When you have Julie trying to pitch for Alyssa to be the final hope to stop this Cookout steamroll, and then literally in 30 seconds, Alyssa's in the Shadow Realm puking in the cut. Ladies and gentlemen, they gave me Brent vibes. Remember that veto comp Brent did when he got dizzy as shit and he just sat down in the cut, had that defeated look on his face? He looked like Jimmy Butler after he made the finals. You remember when Jimmy Butler, when he took down the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals in the bubble, and he was just exhausted? And he was on the Heat as well. That's pretty funny that I thought about that reference. I promise that wasn't prepared. But my point is, ladies and gentlemen, Alyssa, you were the last hope for a lot of anti-black coalition members. You let them down tonight. You and Claire, back-to-back weeks, have proven yourselves to be flops here. I gotta keep it a bean and call it down the middle. I got to. Production handed Claire a twist. Just for Claire to go, I'm going to keep noms the same, and I'm going to bank on veto being used on a nominee that is replaceable, then I'll do some slick shit. Claire, you look dumb as hell. You was better off never even putting that in the ethos in the DR, because now you never got the chance to do it. You feel me? If a tree fall in a forest, no one's there to see it, did it happen? If Claire never had the second chance to betray Tiff, then she never did it. Therefore, if I'm her, I'd want production to remove those tapes. Don't even show that that was on my mind, because now people know Tiffany doesn't have control over me like her fans think she does. And not only that, it goes to show Tiffany put this six-person alliance in harm's way by getting Big D to throw that competition to Claire. So understand, ladies and gentlemen, put yourself in Big D's shoes for a second. You are someone who wants to do whatever is best for the six. You get approached by Hannah and Tiffany, basically to throw a competition to Claire, so Claire can't compete in the next HOH. Now, the first red flag that should have come across Big D's mind was, if Claire isn't a comp beast, if you all are using this narrative to define why she should outlast Alyssa, then why should we care if Claire can't compete in the next HOH if she can't win comps anyway? See, that's when Tiffany and Hannah put a foot in their mouth. That's when they exposed to me that they're focused on their personal game and they have begun to stray from the six. Because if Claire was a comp beast, that argument makes sense to Big D. If she's not a comp beast, then let Big D get the shine of winning this twist. Let it stay in home with the Cookout. My problem with some of these sisters is they are giving Claire, it's like they're trying to hand her a free ticket to Disney World for a day. They're trying to make her feel good. They're trying to prove themselves as, look, we're the nice black folk, because look at how accommodating we are of these non-black folks, but we're super hard on the other black folks that helped us get to this moment to be accommodating to the non-black folks. This is why I tell patrons, the black men are set up to be the bad cops in this equation every single time. But when I call it out, it's taken as anti-black woman sentiment, when in reality, I'm just calling what it is. I'm just calling what it is. You saw Big D tonight. He had to pull Kylan and Xavier in the have-not room and say, hey, man, the girls want y'all fighting. What's best for all of our games is for us to stick together because the jury's already made up of women. I've been saying this for the longest. This has been my biggest reason for my thesis that this would turn into a gender infinity war. All of these things have been proven true now. So now people know it wasn't a personal problem on my end. I was just well ahead of the story. And when you're very ahead of the story, you're going to have doubters because people can't understand how you are this intelligent. And that's just the truth of it all. I got people confused right now how I'm this far ahead of even their favorite creator. And it's because I understand black people more than your favorite creator ever could. Because I'm not grifting acting like I like them now. Let's talk about it tonight. So understand, Big D has every right to want Tiffany gone to start off Final Six because he feels lied to. You mean to tell me I threw this twist to Claire so she could have this shine and be the last non-black HOH just for some sentimental value, just so these black women can have better jury management, not the black men. You know, Big D's not going to get any credit for throwing that to Claire. It's gonna go to Hannah and Tiffany every time before him. So he understands he got played there. So in his mind, he's like, all right, well, in exchange for me throwing that to Claire, Claire got to go in Final 8. Now you got Azza. Now you got Hannah. Now you got Tiffany working hard, overtime. Alyssa can't outlast Claire because Alyssa's a comp beast. Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Alyssa threw up as soon as the comp started. If anything, if I'm going to talk about how Tiff fans think her winning this comp is a good thing when it really is a bad thing, I think Alyssa going out second in this comp may have helped her. Well, it's not going to really help her because Tiffany's the HOH. Damn. See, this is why if anyone else was HOH, this probably could have helped Alyssa. But by Tiffany winning it, we know Claire's never touching a block. We know Claire's going to put up a black man next to Alyssa, which is probably going to be Xavier. Because at this point, she's not going to want to throw up Kylan because she'll want to keep the narrative that all partners should be next to their plus ones, even though she refuses to be next to Claire next week. So this is the problem we have. We have someone giving out marching orders, but when it's time for them to follow said marching orders, all of a sudden, I'm going AWOL. Fuck this boot camp. That's Tiffany, okay? Now, my argument is I can't call you the best soldier in the platoon if you're scared to get on the front lines when it's time. Her fans want you to believe, well, they need her. They need her in the barracks because she's such a mastermind. Shut up. Nah, that's not the excuse. At the end of the day, you don't want her to have to hold her own ovaries. You don't want her to be held accountable. You don't want her to have to equally hold her weight for this alliance in the ways that she decided in the plan. Look, if you keep changing the plan every time the dreidel or the pin or the needle falls on you having to do something, then your plan is a joke. And that's just the truth of it all. So this plan is used selectively to bash Kylan. People have gone on Twitter, dug up his old tweets. But all Kylan did in trying to come off the block to throw SB a sympathy vote is basically what Tiffany has done for 2 weeks prior to this week. So my argument is, how does Kylan get his tweets dug up for one offense, maybe two if you count the HOH that Tiffany choked? And that's still Tiffany's fault. But okay, let's say that's Kylan's fault. I'll give y'all that. How does Tiffany still have more mistakes, more anti-black moments, more off-code moments, but her tweets don't get dug up? It's because the black man is not protected. So understand, even a moist man such as Big D understands he ain't being protected. And now he's on code the most. And what have I always said? Some people are on code out of necessity, some are on code for survival. Big D has been on code this season for both reasons. And it's a shame Big D is on code more than Kylan, but that is what it is. But understand, ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany and Kylan tonight could have thrown that HOH to Azza. Azza has yet to win something for this squad, and in my opinion, Tiffany being the one that, I can't let Alyssa touch the block this week because I promised her she wouldn't. So why do you want this HOH win so bad when you have to go for Alyssa? So you do all this extra shit for jury management purposes, then you just target Alyssa the next week and you walk back all of that progress when you could have just lumped that on Azza, and then Alyssa thinks the world of you on her way out with Azza sending her home? See, this is proof Tiffany is too selfish. She doesn't know how to let others shine for the sake of her game improving because her threat level decreases as others increase. This is what Xavier has found out. This is why he didn't win veto even though he was the third nom. This is why he didn't win this HOH even though I would bet he wanted Claire to go after Alyssa. The fact that Xavier can compartmentalize these emotions and not use them to gaslight himself into a mistake is why he's the superior player to Tiffany every time. It's why Hannah's the superior player to Tiffany every time. And this is why you are noticing the majority of black fans who are real super fans, not casuals who just root for Tiffany out of the 6, because those are casual fans at this point. I said this to patrons last night. If you only root for one person out of an entire cast or team, you're a casual. Casuals root for LeBron, not the Lakers. Casuals root for Kobe, not the Lakers. Casuals root for Derek Jeter, not the Yankees. That's what casuals do. Right now, we have people marauding themselves as super fans when they're really casuals, right? And they think their voice holds as much weight as the actual super fans who call the game down the middle. And this is why we have people who are so willing to castigate and destroy Kylan's legacy and his reputation because he's half Mexican, and that's the easy decision. Understand, these same people hated Hannah before the season started, and I had to tell them she's half black. They's like, no, she's not. No, she's not. I said, yes, she is. Now, all of a sudden, because she's cool with DX, they claim her. But Kylan lets SB target DX. Now he ain't black enough. So do you see what's going on here? People move the goalpost. Also, on feeds, you got Tiffany and Kylan talking about, well, like they're talking like colorists on these live feeds. They're talking as if, I know what it's like to be light-skinned and not be black enough. So I can relate to what you and Hannah go through the most. And I'm watching this, even as a light-skinned brother, I'm watching this like, oh my God, this is an L. Imagine if Xavier was a colorist like this. Now, people would argue, well, he wants an exotic child. He wants an exotic-looking girl. Maybe he is one. But he doesn't outright admit it like this. Like, come on, bro. Like, so if people want to talk about comments you should keep to yourself, why does it seem like Tiffany fans don't bring up the comments she should be keeping to herself? Because at the end of the day, she can do no wrong. This is the same complex DX had with these fans. She has a God complex to her fans. DX has a God complex to his fans, you know? But at least I can respect the fact that at the end of the day, DX was one of a kind. At least I can respect at the end of the day, DX was against an overwhelming force known as the Cookout. When it comes to Tiffany, what I can't get over is the fact that she selectively uses this group of 6 to do messy stuff because she knows she can always fall on that pad. She always has padding to fall back on because of the 6. So she purposely does too much, knowing she won't be brought to task for it yet. So she exploits this advantage, and she plays dirty when she doesn't have to. And these other players who play legit and stay on code, they are the ones people say ain't playing hard enough just because they're on code. Man, this is such an inverted philosophy and perspective on the game I'm noticing, you know. But at the end of the day, you have to see it to notice it. A lot of people choose not to see it, so here we are. But at the end of the day, I think Tiffany made a huge miscalculation, her and Kylan. Now, I could get why Kylan don't want to throw HOH to Azza. I can get that. Kylan believes Ozzy doesn't trust him. Ozzy doesn't trust Kylan. They both don't trust each other. And at the end of the day, Kylan wants to go to final two with Tiffany. But my thing is, if y'all both are working so closely together, right? Why did y'all both duke it out so hard for that HOH win? Now, conventional wisdom would suggest, well, Kylan couldn't afford to make a deal with Tiffany in that moment because she technically just sent SB home. But here's the thing. With the secret HOH twist, there was still a little bit reasonable doubt in the air that Tiffany isn't the one who sent SB home. At the end of the day, we all know it was Hannah and Claire that technically got credit for it, even though Tiffany wanted the credit for it. This is why Tiffany did not want Hannah using veto on Kylan over Xavier, because she wanted the house to believe she was the one who won that twist. So understand, she tells Big D to throw the twist to the white girl so she can act like she's the one with it all along. And people have the nerve to act like Big D is selfish because he can't stand her. He has all the reason in the world to not stand her at this point. All the reason in the world. People say it's a team effort. People say it's a mission. But then they pick and choose who gets the shine, who gets the gold star, huh? At the end of the day, everyone should be getting a ribbon because everyone contributed. But it's funny, when Tiffany wasn't winning comps, social game mattered more than comps. Now that she's winning comps matter more than social game. People are jumping all over the place now, and they're doing it because they realize, you know what? She didn't have to win this, but I'm loving this Tiffany Comp Beast arc. That's the new narrative. Tiffany Comp Beast arc. But here's the thing. By her winning this HOH, now she guarantees Claire is the last +1 to go. Correct. But she also runs a very tough risk of being on the block next to Claire 2 Thursdays from now and having this alliance send her home over Claire because Claire's not a Comp Beast, right? This is why Alyssa outlasting Claire was the better play, especially if you were going to try so hard to win comps you didn't need. Now, with that said, like I already said, Alyssa went out second in this endurance comp. It's going to be really hard to create the narrative she is a comp beast from this point moving forward. Every comp she has won was thrown to her. This was the first comp I can legitimately admit Tiffany won that was not thrown to her. So kudos to her for winning this. I don't want y'all to think that I'm taking away from this victory. Even though I think she didn't need it, she still went out of her way to win it. And that took some grit. That took some will. That took a bit of skill. I mean, let's be honest here. Ozzy couldn't even last that long. But I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that this type of twist benefits shorter women. This is why I thought Alyssa would have a direct advantage in winning this comp. The fact that Alyssa went out so early and started puking, I got to ask questions. Did Ozzy cook breakfast specifically for Alyssa so Alyssa couldn't stay safe? I ain't trying to accuse you of nothing, Ozzy. I'm just saying you cooking a lot of these meals, coach. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of ironic that the one girl you did not want making Final 7 just miraculously gets sick as soon as the one comp that seems designed for her to win is introduced to the fray. I'm just connecting some dots here. Hey, Ozzy, maybe this is the beginning of your mastermind arc if you food poison someone. I'm just saying that's some next level gameplay right there. Tonight we saw the scene of Alyssa mentioning how Claire is the last white person left. We saw Xavier play it off super smooth and clown them in the DR. We also saw the scene of Xavier wanting Alyssa to go next for the 6, proving his haters have a terrible read on his game and always have. So are you noticing the dichotomy here? While Xavier is willing to clown his +1 and his person to America to let people know how on code he is, Tiffany refuses to even clown Claire to America. She won't even do that much. See, in your confessionals and DR sessions, that's supposed to be when you're telling the most truth. We saw Claire on national TV admit DX needed to go for the betterment of the 6. Then in the next episode, she fought to get rid of Claire and keep DX, 1 week after trying to keep Claire. At the end of the day, if I'm a casual fan who doesn't really understand the game much, Tiffany's game is very confusing for me. Very entertaining, probably. Very confusing for me, too, though. Because if she belongs to the 6-person alliance, it doesn't really make any sense why she does so many things that goes against the win cons of all 6. Xavier has touched the block twice because of production, trying to rig stuff to DX and Claire. Just for Tiff to win an HOH to protect Claire to be the last +1 left? Listen, you gotta put yourselves in the shoes of these black men and realize all Tiffany is doing is putting herself on the higher threat tier than Kylan now. If she's on a higher threat tier than him, and now I'm hearing no triple eviction is gonna happen, so I'm happy about that because that means we might get our moment with the 6. Because I was really worried the triple would occur during 7, 6, and 5. And then before you know it, we go from 7 people to 4 in a day. So if the rumors are true that the triple isn't going to happen, this might be great for Tiffany. But it might be terrible for her too. You never know, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we see Big D drive the point home that the black men have to stick together. We see Big D keep Kylan and Xavier focused on the women, relying on them to target each other. Kylan stresses through confessional that he doesn't all the way trust Big D. This explains why he doesn't want to go with Big D to final 2. Now, for the people who aren't up to speed on feeds, Kylan told Tiffany he wants to go to final 2 with her because she is the only person he's willing to lose to. All of a sudden, Kylan is willing to kowtow, placate, and pander to the one woman whose entire fan base is bashing him the most on social media. If he doesn't know how goofy he looks, he never will know. It feels like this dude has been attacked into submission. It reminds me a lot of what happened to David Alexander, but David didn't care about what y'all thought of him. He just kept it moving. But yeah, Kylan is going to have a rude awakening. He's not going to expect so many people to hate him so much just for doing what Tiffany did multiple times before he did it. He's not going to expect it. And this is going to make him really feel dumb if he takes Tiffany to final 2, loses to her, then finds out he's been canceled. In a lot of ways, if you really break down Kylan's game, it's a 1-to-1 ratio to Ricky Williams from Celebrity Big Brother US Season 2. Black women hated Ricky Williams. They brought up his past. They shitted on his white wife during that season. They did everything they could to destroy that man's entire reputation. Me being a fan of the NFL, I understood Ricky Williams' entire story. I always gave him the benefit of the doubt, right? But I was always rooting for Tamar to win the game. Only after Ricky took Tamar to final 2 and gave her the win, then did black women back off bashing him. At the end of the day, people can say whatever they want, but they are relentless until you become a bitch or a simp to a black woman. Then you are liked again. Let's keep it real. Did sisters like Swaggy C until he hooked up with Bailey? Nope. Nope. These are facts. We then see Kylan preferring to go with final 2 with Tiffany, even though it makes no sense. And yeah, this is what I was going to bring up. So Kylan essentially looks at it like this. He believes he loses to Big D 5-4 in final 2. So I believe he wants to avoid embarrassment by losing to someone he doesn't think is worthy to lose to. So instead, he's created in his mind that only Tiffany is worth losing to, even though Xavier is playing better than him and Tiffany. It seems as if he's jealous of Xavier's great game, especially since Hannah used the veto on Xavier. He's jealous of Xavier's great game, so now he's in a position now where he's become like Tashawn. I'm willing to lose to anyone but Jed. The one guy who's really been my real shield this entire game, because one straight black man can't be on the season or else he's getting targeted. You need at least 2. We've seen enough of an example. We've seen enough to know for sure that you need 2 straight black men on the season for both to make jury. You need 2 straight black men on the same season for one to win the game. For Kylan to disregard how much help Xavier has given him in this game, in order for him to prioritize helping Tiffany win, when Tiffany has done nothing but shit on this man since week 4 for his connection to SB, man, listen, I don't know if I should give Tiffany credit or if I should just say Kylan's in the sunken place completely. Because honestly, I don't understand this guy's entire strategy. If your only chance of winning the game is sitting next to Oz or Big D, how does Tiffany fit into your final 3 plans? It makes no sense. So now what I believe is, ladies and gentlemen, I believe Kylan has realized, he's looked at the votes, he's looked at the jury, he looked at the way everyone hated SB, he realized he's guilty by association, he knows he can't win this game. So now he's basically a saboteur for the 6. Now he's just going to do whatever it takes to guarantee an outcome he can live with. And for him, that outcome involves a black woman winning for some reason. And I don't get it. If he has any ambition, I don't get it. But that's Kylan's thought process, and it's important for me to mention that. Because I know tonight it was kind of bizarre how all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere and says he wants to go to final 2 with Tiffany. That really came from left field. Because up to this point, he seemed to be all down with a final 3 with Big D and Xavier. He was down with a final 3 that involved Hannah and Tiffany. But now it seems like all he cares about is a final 2 with Tiffany. So SB leaving has made him reassess his game, and now he believes the only way he can reach the end is with the help of Tiffany. Kylan should be taking Big D and Oz to the final 3, if anything. Tiffany is okay with this, but of course she would rather take Hannah to final 2 over him. So we have Xavier, who is willing to go to final two with anyone, like a true alpha, while everyone else seems shook to go to the end with certain people. Xavier came off the best here. The rest look desperate and scared their mistakes will come back to haunt them later in the game. Azza didn't even get TV time, so that tells me production thinks she can't even win. Man, they did Azza dirty tonight. Can we keep it real? Azza was done dirty tonight. I mean, if you take away that one segment where the stove burned up and Hannah hit her head on the wood, Azza didn't really get much visibility at all tonight. And it's a shame, but to be fair, though, this was one of Azza's worst weeks strategically since maybe pre-jury. This was one of her worst weeks. So if I'm being fair to production, she didn't give them much to show to us. Sure, there were some conversations where Azza preferred Claire outlasting Alyssa, but those are conversations you can add on Sunday's episode or Wednesday's episode to justify why Alyssa's going over Claire later, right? You don't have to pack that in on Thursday night episode, especially when we got a jury segment that all of us are appreciative of. Then we get into the jury segment. All right, on cue. DX greets Brittany in the jury house. They look at the past week, and Brittany is pissed about missing the balance beam comp. She was salty about that. She was like, that comp was meant for me. I actually have one of the pictures of when they met each other. I thought this was a super dope scene. No matter what people may think about me choosing the 6 over DX, it still was great to see DX. It's good to see him giving the Cookout the credit they are due, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, it's great to see that. Because I feel like DX fans, excuse me, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like DX fans, I feel like they've gone a bit overboard. I feel like they're the main ones pushing this cancel Kylan culture that we see on the internet. They're the main ones calling him a Karen. And they're the main ones acting like Claire isn't the real Karen of this season. All Claire does is talk negatively about black men, and she thinks it grows her closer to black women. Sisters, shouldn't this be a demerit on the black women's game? That the only way this white woman thinks she can get close to y'all is by bashing brothers? What does that say? That says, obviously, this has been a tactic used by black women too often, because now this is the only icebreaker for the white women to use. That's an L. If roles were reversed and black men could only start conversation with white men by bashing black women, there would be World War III popping off right now. But because roles are reversed, people act like they don't see what I see. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. But to get back to this whole jury segment, I thought it was really good. You know, looking back on it, Kylan telling DX what he told him about the alliance. Now, he didn't get into specifics, but he basically said that he was with an alliance since the start of the game and they are still around. He pretty much told him the black folks is together. Let's keep it a bean. And it feels as if a lot of these non-black people are walking on eggshells because they don't want to just straight up call it a black alliance. Even SB tonight, when she talked to Julie, when Azza gave her goodbye message, she said, I'm all about the mission. And then Julie asked SB, so what are your thoughts about what Azza said? Oh, I support all of it. SB did not want to get canceled. You know what I'm saying? I support all of it. She don't even know what all of it is. She just knows she supports it. I cry uncle. You feel it? Dig me? Now back off. You feel me? Like, SB wanted to make sure they didn't put her in a duo. You feel it? Dig me? But at the end of the day, I thought it was really dope for DX to greet Brittany. Brittany was shocked to see him, as you all can see. They look at the past week, and Brittany is pissed about missing the balance beam. DX admits regretting not playing for roulette. He then mentions Kylan's goodbye messages playing a role in him figuring out that alliance. DX says his conspiracy is Kai, X, Tiffany, Big D, and Azza are in the alliance. He didn't even believe Hannah was part of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is even more of a reason why Hannah deserves her roses. She completely played DX like a fiddle. I'm talking Fiddler on the Roof, music class, 5th grade type stuff. You feel it? Dig me, coach. She played this man something serious, and she deserves all the credit in the world, because for him to assume all these other people were in it, but not Hannah, says Hannah, for being so underestimated, for being expected to be a leaky faucet, Hannah, I'd argue, has been one of the most closed books in this entire game. To the point now where the most logical player in the 6 trusts her the most because of how logical she has been. Hannah, I'd argue, now has Xavier close to being wrapped around her finger because Xavier even told Hannah what his final 3s are. Kylan told Hannah what his final 3s are. Okay? So now I feel like everybody just vying for Hannah support. They know down the stretch she will become a yoke artist. They don't want to be on the wrong end of her yoking. You feel it, dig me? They don't. But to get back to this jury segment, DX calls the Cookout Alliance genius and gives them props. So hopefully his fans will stop being so angry. If DX isn't bitter, y'all shouldn't be bitter. Salute to DX for understanding great gameplay and being logical about it. I mean, you're getting AFP anyway, coach. Let's keep it real. You're getting it. No matter what people may think, you're getting that AFP, bro. And keep this type of stuff up. You might even host the jury roundtable one day. You keep this up. I'm being honest with you. People love someone who gets sent home in a, not necessarily dirty, but who gets sent home in a fashion where people didn't want them to go, and they're humble in defeat regardless. People love these type of stories, DX. No one can dislike this guy. And I never disliked him. I just knew he was in the way. That's just what it is. So salute to him. I'm actually happy Kylan went rogue now because it made this segment even better. I mean, imagine how boring this segment would have been if Kylan didn't go rogue in his goodbye message. We don't get to see Brittany and DX's heads turn and start bouncing ideas. Who could be in it? I mean, Brittany, she's so snowed. And see, if I'm going to give Hannah credit for snowing DX, I got to give Ozzy and Big D credit. Brittany does not think either one of them was in that alliance at all. She doesn't buy it. Because from her vantage point, Big D and Ozzy was just laying down all day. But this does prove Brittany was not eavesdropping on their conversations late at night to figure out the cookout. And we're going to get into a little bit. Matter of fact, I could just mention it now. Kylan and Tiffany earlier today on feeds accidentally talked about game in front of Alyssa. Now, it turns out Alyssa didn't listen or didn't hear them because she was, in fact, asleep. So now that Alyssa didn't win HOH, it doesn't play that big of a role. But I believe Tiffany is going to use this is even more of a reason why she has to go, believing she may have heard it, but she's not admitting to hearing it. But that's another thing. Also, you got to take into account Alyssa being the one to speak out loud that Claire was the last white person left. That's going to also be used against her. SB gets evicted by a vote of 5-1. Okay, so now we can go ahead and let them go. SB gets evicted by a vote of 5-1. Tiffany gives her the lone sympathy vote, hoping that buys her jury vote. Production even accidentally made Oz's picture go black and white when SB's did, which made the house go nuts. This was a very funny moment of the episode, too, ladies and gentlemen. Like, literally looking at Oz's face when she went play, she was like, ah! That was pretty funny. I found that to be really funny. Julie asked SB if she regretted taking out DX. SB said no. I respect that. She knows emotion got her taken out more than anything, also the 6. She was asked who the secret HOH is. SB said it was either Tiffany or Claire. Oh, SB is woke. She was asked who the sympathy vote was, and she admitted Tiffany whispered it to her. So that proves Tiffany wanted that instant gratification. She did not want that to be up in the air. And then when you add the fact that Tiffany's goodbye message wasn't included in tonight's episode, that tells me it was almost her making up for the fact that her goodbye message wasn't anything. I initially thought Tiffany had no chance in hell of getting SB's vote. But Hannah's goodbye message to SB was terrible. This is where I got to be constructive in my criticism of you, Hannah. You got to do better in this goodbye message to SB here. Look, I get it. This was your nemesis. But you still, I get it. She didn't say it was personal in her goodbye message. But her tone, the jump cut in the middle of it, usually suggests you said some hot shit that you had removed. If I had to give some advice to future or aspiring players of this game, when you give a goodbye message, do it all in one go. If it's a lot of jump cuts, it usually tells the player that you came back and did a 3rd and 4th take. And if you did multiple takes, you probably are lying to that person. So that's just for future reference. Like if I were to play the game, I would always do my goodbye messages like a freestyle rant. Just all in one go. But yeah, so Tiffany didn't have hers aired, so it feels like production wants Tiffany to get this vote. Sure seems like all things getting rigged all helping Tiffany in the 6 the most here. Let's be real. They tried to rig DX staying, which helped Tiffany's game. They did, in fact, rig an envelope twist, which helped Claire get a twist rigged to her, which also helped Tiffany's game, because then Tiffany was able to act like she was still the HOH when she wasn't. I mean, when you really look at this here, Tiffany is being provided just as much help as Claire and DX. And she is taking advantage of these things. I'm going to give her credit for the pivoting prowess. But at a certain point, you got to ask yourself, is she this good? Or is she benefiting from a lot of curious things happening that conveniently only helps her the most? Why are only her allies the one production cares so much about helping? Why hasn't Alyssa been helped once? Is it because Xavier is too good of a player for his ally to be helped? I got to ask these questions because it feels like, and I said this to patrons like a week or so ago, feels like everything is on a grading curve, right? Where if it's Xavier, okay, we listen, whatever test score you get, that's your score. If it's Tiffany, it's a curve where a C is a D is a B, a F is a C, right? It feels like production is contributing to this, but I'm going to continue. The endurance comp was very difficult. Big D fell off right before the episode ended. Then before credits rolled, Alyssa fell off, making the comp inconsequential to me. So Alyssa and Big D are now have-nots. Now, I didn't see who fell off third, ladies and gentlemen, so if you could provide that in the comment section below or in the live chat who the third have-not is, that would be a great help. I did not see who fell off third. But there's an argument to be had here that Alyssa is not a bigger comp beast than Claire. If I'm Alyssa, maybe throwing that comp isn't the worst thing in the world, but once again, Tiffany winning HOH truly ruined this from this being used in the strategy. I know Azza is probably mad. This might make her flip on Kylan and Tiffany for not throwing this to her. I mean, at the end of the day, look, I was the person early in the season saying, hey, man, I don't even like when people throw stuff to people because it's a little whack. You should earn it. And I still, to a certain extent, feel that way. But when I look at an HOH week like this, where taking out Alyssa doesn't really help your game that much. Now, I get it. No one wants to win Final 7 HOH. So at the end of the day, if you're Tiffany and you can win an HOH that you can double tap with, this is the one to win. This is why Kylan wanted to win it so bad. Because you can dictate who the last +1 is, and you can compete for Final 6 HOH on top of it. This is why I told y'all this HOH mattered so much. Now, because Xavier's on code so much, he's not willing to hurt his game to win too much too soon. I respect that. Kylan and Tiffany, on the other hand, oh, well, they don't give a fuck about how they're perceived. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, that's why they were the last two left. It's really that simple. The two most selfish members of the 6 happen to be the two lasting in this comp. It really is that, it's really as plain and simple as that. And on feeds last night, Kylan also implied that the Cookout Alliance existed by telling SB that they were the Illuminati. It was his way of dry snitching as well. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, just know Kylan, in my opinion, he is trying to do this Josh strategy of telling jury members more than others so they respect his game a little bit more as time goes by. But at the end of the day, Kylan, there is no Paul that is more hated than you that you can sit next to. That's your problem. Your Paul was probably SB, and that's what sucks. And I think that's why you want a veto used on yourself so bad, because you realize the only way to win is if you found a way to get SB to the end. But in doing that, you probably would have pissed off enough black people to the point where, I think they would have still rewarded you over SB because they hate SB so much. But with that said, I think this is why Kylan is now, I'm willing to lose to anyone. I'm not willing to lose to anyone but you, Tiffany. I think that's why he's doing that. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to start answering y'all questions now. I want to hear y'all thoughts on this game. I pretty much rapid fired the majority of the conversations I wanted to get down to brass tacks on. And if anything else comes to my mind, I will be sure to mention them. But I pretty much rapid fired a lot of stuff, and I don't want to regurgitate stuff that is exclusive to patrons. So that's pretty much where we're going to leave off at. So I'm ready to answer y'all questions. I'm ready to hear y'all thoughts on the game. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, next week, matter of fact, this week, y'all will be getting your mid-season worst to first exclusively on Patreon. As a thank you for y'all re-upping for another month. I truly appreciate y'all. And please do not forget to hit that like button as y'all come in as well, ladies and gentlemen. And share this with all the fans of Big Brother 23 that you rock with. If I had to make a quick prediction, because I know one question is going to be centered towards who I think touches the block, I think either Xavier and Alyssa are on the block, or it's Alyssa and Kylan on the block. I don't think there's any other choice of noms. Now, I believe if this was Final 7 HOH, I believe Tiffany would have thrown up 2 black men. On feeds, Hannah told Azza, and I believe this was last night, Hannah told Azza that if Tiffany would have won the Final 7 HOH, she would have attempted, and let's say Claire is the last +1 left, and Tiffany wins Final 7 HOH. Tiffany has Hannah believing she would have won HOH, threw up 2 members of the Cookout, then, because it would have been everyone in the Cookout for veto versus Claire, she would have then, whoever takes off someone from the Cookout, she would have backdoored Claire. Hannah, you must believe in Santa Claus if you really believe Tiffany would have ever backdoored Claire in Final 7. it would have never happened. In that moment, Tiffany would have left Noms the same if she had the choice. She would have sent a black man home. The fact that she has even said this to Hannah and Hannah has said this to Azah, it should tell Azah Tiffany can't be trusted. If she's already saying she may be willing to throw up 2 black people before Final 6, and she's pushing a feminist game, that means she's against the black men. I've been vindicated again. So for all the people saying, oh, they don't know what nah, he does. Y'all just mad he's saying the stuff no one else has the courage to say. That's why they call me Thanos, baby. I will stand in front of an entire army and still win the battle. Your favorite creators, oh, they scared to stand in front of one person and fight the battle, let alone an entire army, and that's just the truth of it all. But thank you to who provided the super chat, Miss Ann. I appreciate you. Whoever provided the super chat before you, I'm so sorry I didn't catch you, but I think there were 2 of them. But I was in the zone earlier in the rant, so I hope you give me a break there. Tiffany and Azah are my faves. I would love to see them in Final 2. Well, here's the thing. I don't think there's any way Azah makes it to Final 2 with Tiffany. Mainly because I think Hannah wins that comp over Azah. Tiffany takes Hannah before Azah. If Tiffany's willing to take Hannah before Kylan, when Kylan has no chance to win this game, and that tells me she takes Hannah before Azah too. It makes no sense for Tiffany to ever take Hannah over Kylan. But if she's already speaking it out into existence, that's her plan, that tells me she really means it. She's going to the end with Hannah if she has the choice. Now the question is, if Hannah has the choice, is she taking Tiffany? I don't know. So this is where Hannah does have an advantage. Oh, DX has AFP locked in, Vonnie. We know it. We already know it, Coach. This ain't even up for debate. Hannah's goodbye messages all season have been bad. Her one to Brent was not good, but I wrote it off because he's not in jury. I agree. I agree, Donnie. You know, I feel like Hannah had the inside route on Tiffany, on getting the vote from SB over Tiffany, because Tiffany is full of crap. You know, Tiffany told SB the reason why she's targeting her. Whoa. During SB's HOH week, Tiffany told her she's all about the jackpot because her and Claire don't have any men protecting them like the rest of these girls. Then, when DX leaves, she uses the fact that she took out the one man who was protecting her out the game, even though Tiffany said she had no man protecting her. So, I was under the impression, because she lied to SB's face in a manner that didn't make any sense, that made it seem like SB was stupid to imply she would buy it, I thought she would never get her vote. But because Hannah was so smug in that goodbye message, I think she allowed Tiffany to make up that ground on her all over again. So this is why you can never count your chickens before they're hatched. And this is why you also need to be relentless. And until that person officially leaves the house, you need to show them with the utmost respect, because you're going to need them at some point. That's what makes this game a lot different from the challenge, for example. The challenge, you could treat everyone like dog shit you want to, because it ain't relying on no jury. It's not, you know? And because I've brought up the challenge, you know, in a lot of ways, this Black Alliance reminds me a lot of CT and Amber Bazotra, right? Amber Bazotra came on strong late, but CT was always a threat the whole game. CT carries the load during the finale, doing all the hard work. All Amber has to do is run in a straight line. They win, right? I'd argue the black men were CT in the early stage of the game, dealing with the harder threats, harder targets. Now, towards the end of the game, they're being painted in a terrible light as the bad cops for doing all of the toughest work earlier in the game. And Tiffany and Kylan, because they played a bit messy from a social standpoint, now they're trying to drag everyone into the mud to even the playing field because they're not clean players. Now, Xavier, he's avoiding the dirt. I believe Azah's avoiding the dirt. I believe Hannah's avoiding the dirt. I believe Big D's willing to sling that mud, though. And that's why I ain't going to lie, man. I hope we get at least one Big D HOH this season, because we truly will miss out on great TV if we don't get one Big D. Listen, if no one wants to win Final 7 HOH, I can see a scenario where Big D throws up Tiffany and Claire, and then Nam stay the same, and then Big D goes up to these people and go, hey man, did you just see her in that endurance comp? The Shadow Realm awaits. I could see that. Now, here's the thing. I want the 6 to make the 6. But if there's anyone who has created the karma for themselves not to make the 6 because they have been the most selfish about the 6, it is Tiffany. So it's one of those things where I want the 6 to make the 6, but I also want to see something unexpected. It's tough. It's really tough. But with that said, I'm willing to stake this out until the 6 and let bygones be bygones. I have a feeling when the final 6 happens, Tiffany not going to be winning no more. I got a feeling everyone is going to step their game up an extra level. You're going to see Ultra Instinct Xavier pop off. You're going to see Ultra Instinct Ozza show up. Ozza the Mazza is going to reveal herself. I got faith in you, coach. All right? I think Hannah the Huntress is going to start cutting heads off. You feel it, dig me? And I think Kylan, let's keep it real. You ain't been Killmonger for like 5 weeks and you're not getting that nickname back. You made too many mistakes, bro. I can't do it. That's disrespectful to Michael B. Jordan's legacy. Disrespectful. But at the end of the day, man, I got to admit, this alliance is amazing, ain't it? I mean, hey, even though I might nitpick at this, talk about that, describe this, analyze that, can we just take a second to take it in? Ladies and gentlemen, the strongest alliance in the history of Big Brother are all black folks, y'all. I never thought the day would come. Every single hope they tried to put in front of us got sent to that shadow realm with the swiftness and quickness. Every twist they put in front of this group, they figured out their way around. They defused the bomb. You know, it is truly impressive, man. You know, even SB had to admit to Kylan, this is the smartest cast of Big Brother players of all time. SB is putting this alliance over as the smartest alliance ever with that statement. I've already said the women on this season are the smartest of all time. Per capita, they're the smartest. Pound for pound, this is the smartest group of 8 women we've ever seen, coach. That's irrefutable at this point. So that means this alliance is the smartest alliance and they're black. They're the most dominant from a strategic standpoint and they're black. The most dominant from a social standpoint and they're black. The most dominant from a physical standpoint and they're black. This is the most all-around dominant alliance, period. And there's no way anyone can take it away from them. They have given everyone a chance to get at them, and no one had the heart to do it. Claire was handed a twist and said, I'm waiting until after veto. I'm a little scared. Oh. Flopped. Alyssa gets an HOH comp that you would think is built for her and her body type. Oh, man, I ate some bad crab last night. She's in the shadow realm now. Listen, coach, say whatever you want, but hey, sometimes you need luck on your side. And I'd be a fool to say the Cookout hasn't been a little lucky. But a lot of this has been skill and will. And they just had more skill and will than everyone else that was against them. They had to take 10 people out here to make it to this final 6. I do not want to hear people creating the narrative they had it easy. This alliance is dominant. This alliance, listen, man. This feels like the 2017 Warriors right now. Listen, man. It feels like everyone is a Hall of Fame player on this lineup. It feels like all these people can get buckets on their own, but they got to get buckets together for the mission. This is impressive, man. And I do not want to get caught up in the whole, oh, this person's off code all the time. I do want to take these moments in because, like I told y'all, I'm not in no rush for this season to end, man. I'm fully aware of the fact that when this is over, it's over, bro. So we need to enjoy this while it lasts, yo. I just wish we could have got an Ozza HOH week this week, man. Why couldn't she get no pictures from home? Why can't we see her family? Like, and this is why I was so hard on Ozza last night, patrons. Wasn't I hard on her? Because she was buying the lies Tiffany was selling her. For all the people who don't know, Tiffany created a lie to Ozza, blaming Xavier for why Tiffany called Christian to go get Brittany so she could try to force a flip to keep Christian over SB week 5. She tried to blame that all on Xavier. You know what I said? How could this be Xavier's fault if Tiffany shouted at Big D in the storage room over this very thing? Why would you shout at Big D if he embarrassed Xavier, not you? See, I need Ozza to think straight. And now that Ozza has seen that Tiffany is all out for herself, she don't want the women to shine and win comps and prove themselves like she says, because she didn't want Ozza winning. You feel what I'm saying? Now, to be fair, Tiffany probably knew Kylan's never throwing that damn thing to Ozza anyway, so why am I going to throw it? I'm going to give her a little bit of rope there, because Kylan's never throwing nothing to Ozza. But with that said, though, it's a shame. It's a shame. because it, I do want to see every member of this alliance win something. I thought that twist, that secret HOH was designed for Big D to win something. That's why I was rooting for it. Now I get it. The Tiffany fans were very nervous. Big D would send Claire home under Tiffany's HOH week and embarrass her. So they would instead just rather see Tiffany embarrass him. So that's what we had. But at the end of the day, um, it's a shame because I think Big D might go the rest of this game not winning a comp. Ozza might go the rest of this game without winning a comp. And now with Tiffany proving herself to be a threat in some of these endurances, and she's won a mental comp, well, now she can't keep acting like she's not no big threat. Now she's got to change the way her gameplay is implemented because now people know she's been downplaying herself. Now Ozza is really the only woman who can act weak from this point moving forward. Hannah can't really act weak anymore. Tiffany can't really act weak anymore. This is why I tried to get Ozza fans to see her win condition is not with Hannah or Tiffany. Her win condition is in flipping with Xavier and Big D, because at the end of the day, she loses to both of those women, but she has a fighting chance against a man. That's her win con. Now, I think Ozza's best case to win is next to probably Big D or Kylan. But I just don't see Ozza being able to micromanage a situation where her and Kylan both make final three. That's why I'm settling for Xavier and Big D to make it with Ozza the final three. Now, I get it. People will look at what I'm saying. Oh, you just want Xavier to win the game. That's why you say it. No, I honestly really feel for Ozza's win conditions, she has one or two options, and neither option involves taking the women with her, because she gets washed by both, not only in comps, but in final two. Her only pitch to win is by pushing the feminist shit as the only woman in final two. That's really the only way Ozza can win at this point, because even production don't think she can win. It's important for me to bring these things up, because unless Ozza does something that changes the game up, if she just keeps doing what Tiffany wants, Tiffany gets credit for everything Ozza does. If she just does what Hannah wants, Hannah and Tiffany get credit for whatever Ozza does. Only if Ozza flips and goes back and forth or does something that no one thinks she had in her toolbox to do can she really be started to be taken seriously in this game. And unfortunately, if they're no longer throwing comps to you, then that's the wake-up call you need to know that you're not that highly favored in this alliance, Ozza. You need to do more work. Big D tried to get you to see if you keep Alyssa around, that could be your opening. But because she made the mistake during week 4 of telling Christian and Alyssa to their face she would target them both, Alyssa has incentive to go for Ozza, so Ozza can never trust Alyssa. These things create the perfect scenario and perfect storm as to why I think Ozza's road to winning the game is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, you know? And at the end of the day, that's tough, right? So I'm not going to expound any further because I want y'all to watch that midseason WTF. But just know my midseason WTF going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to leave it at that. Coach, who will Tiffany nominate? Gabby, I believe it will be Xavier and Alyssa, or Kylan and Alyssa. It will be either one or the other. I believe but I think most likely it'll be Xavier on the block next to Alyssa, just so Kylan doesn't feel like, oh, I told Tiffany I'm going to the end with her and then she throws me up. She's going to want to make him feel like she trusts him. Therefore, Xavier's probably touching a block next to Alyssa this week, which is very dangerous because if Alyssa somehow wins this veto and takes herself off the block, there is a chance that Tiffany could replace her with another black man to send Xavier out the door. Tiffany is the type to choose Claire over a black person. So I want y'all to understand, her trying super hard to win this HOH could lead to her ruining the cookout and losing every vote from every black man by inadvertently creating their demise, similar to how she almost created their demise a week ago by rigging the comp to Claire in the first place. So when you really look at it, Tiffany is doing a lot of accommodating of one non-black person as she does little to no accommodating of Ozza at all. I can't throw a comp to Ozza, but I'm going to allow an entire twist to go to Claire. But I want Ozza to follow me to the end of the game off this feminist shit. But I'm not going to throw her a bone at any moment to show her I trust her. I'm sorry, if you're Ozza, you got to look at this and go, I'll never be as loved by Tiffany as Claire. I'll never be as loved by Tiffany as Hannah. If there's two people in front of me then I should flip on you. That's just gameplay. Tiffany does it all the time. But once again, I think if Ozza were to do these things to Tiffany, Ozza would have her tweets dug up. She'd get hated. And that's the saddest part. We're in a situation right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you dare play for your own win conditions and it just so happens to hurt Tiffany's game in the process, your tweets get dug up. So people want to cyberbully you into allowing this woman to win the game. And unfortunately, this does nothing but give more credence to the people saying she's overrated if y'all got to go through this much to help her win. I mean, I'm just being honest. It is what it is. Josh didn't win, Paul lost. Well, I mean, dilly-dally, shilly-shally. I mean, same difference to me. And at the end of the day, if Kylan were to lose to Big D, that's Kylan losing. That's Kylan losing, Big D winning. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you could argue that's more of a Kylan loss than a Big D win because Big D hasn't really earned the win. But once again, I mean, this is why you have to be careful how you treat people in this game. You know, the first two jury boots Kylan is blamed for, they're going to be in lockstep not wanting Kylan to win. SB comes in. She's going to want Kylan to win, but that's 1 versus 2, and I don't expect anyone else to hit the jury house to want Kylan to win a damn thing. Also, it's 2 double evictions 2 weeks in a row. Thank you, Steve P. So it's not going to be a triple. Okay, so if there's a double next week, then there's going to be, so it's going to be final 8 to final 6. Okay, so we are going to get the moment. That's good. Then it's going to be a double that goes from final 6 to final. Okay, that's a lot better than a triple from 7-5 to 7-6-5. That's a lot better. I'm glad production changed that. That's a lot better because if we do get that moment, we deserve that moment. And I think production should want that moment for the rebrand. Why would you want to fast forward over such a good moment to show that your show has taken a new step? Why would you want to skip over that? It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm glad that it's going to be 2 doubles. But if it is 2 doubles, then that means now one member of the 6. No. Oh, that means no member of the 6 has to be taken out during the double. But would they do it, though? And see, that's the thing, Tiffany. You winning this HOH now that we know it's not a triple? Ooh, wait a minute. So now she's hiding her threat level. She's made sure Claire is the last +1 left. That means heading into the double, Tiffany can't win HOH. Which also means she's a sitting duck to be nominated. And if Claire is the house target, Tiffany is the obvious nom to go next to Claire. If Claire clutches that double eviction veto, I guess then it depends who the HOH is. Because if it's Kylan, he might throw up Xavier. If it's Big D, I think he throws up Hannah to get Tiffany out. If it's Xavier as HOH, Claire comes off. I don't think he ever throws up Hannah. I think he throws up Kylan next to Tiffany, and he lets the house decide who goes. Ooh! We need Xavier to win that double HOH. We need it. Ooh! Can you add the entertainment value of having Kylan and Tiffany on the block because they both simped over Claire too long? Oh, do y'all not know how good TV that would be? Having people vote live on who they sending out first between Tiffany and Kylan? Having people having to think about it like, Tiffany could win, Kylan can't. Kylan could win more comps later, maybe, but he can't win the game. I sadly vote to evict Tiffany. Like honestly, woo! Wow, that would be... See, man, I'm talking myself in a timeline that might not even happen. Let me not get my hopes up, man. But that would be great TV. And see, this is why you don't want your +1 to be last. Because that puts you in harm's way for that double. See, now I'm thinking Xavier dodged a bullet by Tiffany wanting to say, hey, go ahead and target Alyssa this week. We don't want Xavier on the block next week. Xavier, you're smart, bruh, because you can now win the HOH that really matters to survive that double. And at the end of the day, I don't care about Final 6 HOH if that HOH ain't occurring during the double. I don't care. This almost alters the importance of now. Final 7 HOH is more important than Final 6 now because the double is so sweaty, man. It's so sweaty. People flip, people change, man. When Aiko Wong got Cindy with the S to send Netta to the Shadow Realm, listen, that was the season altering move that we of that show. That was the season altering move. You know, so at the end of the day, I can't help but look at this and go, wow, did Tiffany choke by winning this HOH? Should she have let Claire go now so Alyssa could be the target during the double so Tiffany would never have to go up during the double? Is her selfishness going to be her Achilles heel? Will her fans hold her accountable if her selfishness is her Achilles heel? Or will they just blame black men for her selfishness again? I don't know. I mean, but it would be poetic justice, though, for Kylan and Tiffany to be on the block next to each other over all the other members of the Six because they have been the most off code. I mean, it would be poetic justice, you know. And that would be a tough decision for certain players. I'm sure Hannah, in her mind, she would want to keep Tiffany, but Hannah, you should be wanting to win the game. Azza, I get it. You don't like Kylan, but you should be wanting to win the game. Like, taking Tiffany out is a big move if you play a part in it. If you're on the other side of the other end of that vote and you don't get no credit for that huge move, how do you have a case to win? See, that's the thing, man. This is tough. This is tough. That's why I like freestyle rants, because I can talk myself into timelines with y'all. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is turning into something interesting. Oh, thank you, Ann. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. She said I had the best BB podcast on YouTube. You have your Infinity Stone now, by the way, Coach. Use it wisely. I will commend the Six on navigating every twist. Yes, I mean, let's be real here. There's not that many alliances that I think could have navigated that twist. I think a lot of alliances aren't together for such a strong mission, and they turn on each other when those twists come. Absolutely. You know, a coup d'etat power? Come on, man. I think someone like KC would have flipped on Tyler's ass in a heartbeat if she could grab a coup d'etat. You know what I'm saying? KC, she was ruthless. Like, for real, though. The Cookout definitely destroyed the twist. Yep. If Alyssa wins veto, it's going to be hell. That's the thing, MK. And see, that's what I'm worried about. But see, this is what I'm also worried about with Claire and the double. You know what I'm saying? And see, this is the problem. When you're the last one with a +1 of it, now the thing is, the odds of Alyssa winning this veto if she puked in the HOH are a lot low. And I'm sure, but see, this is the thing. Xavier's in a tough spot. He has to throw the veto, but he has to make sure Alyssa doesn't win the veto. If he wins the veto, he's going to look bad if he doesn't use it on her. But then again, he's going to look worse if he uses it on her because that goes against the Cookout's plan. So he pretty much has to fight for veto to take himself off and then try to fight to keep Alyssa like Kylan would have wanted a week ago. That's really his only play to make it seem like he didn't want Alyssa to go, but he did let her go. It's really the only way for him to hedge that way, to keep her jury vote, keep the Cookout on his good side. That's really, but the thing is, for X Game, he doesn't want to win too many comps too soon either. He's in a unique position here where he can't afford to keep winning too much. But if I'm X, I'm winning the veto this week. No, I ain't even taking the risk. It's not worth the risk. He said Clara's a bust. Clara's Anthony Bennett. Y'all wild in these streets. Y'all wild in these streets. But y'all not false. Y'all not false. Listen, let's keep it real in these streets. We all had high hopes for Claire. We all thought she had high upside. But now she's just high. I'm just saying, man. I don't know what she was thinking last week, bro. I don't know what she was thinking. I'm just keeping it funky. She threw away the one chance she had to create her winners at it. She threw it away. I know Christy, the girl who was kept off this season due to COVID complications, I'm pretty sure Christy is punching the air like Cuba Gooding Jr. in Boys in the Hood. She's salty right now. That could have been me with that twist. I know she's mad, and she should be mad. Oh, yeah, Dimples. I'm putting together the possible scenarios right now, Coach. There's a lot of ways this game can go down. I agree, Oliver. This double could be very juicy. I like doubles more than triples. Triples are a little weird to me. Oh, throw up 3 people and then vote for the one you want to stay. It's too weird. It feel like y'all want a topaz moment to pop off. Like only during a triple do you vote for who you want to stay, not who you want to go. I don't like that. I don't. I don't. You know. Tiff made an agreement that they should be nominated next to their +1. Exactly, Abdi. And she has ducked every moment to go up next to Claire this entire game so far. She wants that to be on her resume that she never touched a block, and I believe she will not go the rest of this game without touching a block once. I just don't believe it. Especially after winning an HOH tonight, she didn't have to win. She's touching that block eventually. It's going to happen. And if she doesn't touch the block, then I know production is helping her because it makes no sense now after what she just did tonight. Do not give America power. Yeah, that's all we can hope for now, that production doesn't introduce another twist. Miss Reddy says, we all must admit Tiffany thus far is playing a decent game in order to deserve a win. I have never said she isn't playing a decent game. I think she's playing a good game. I just don't think she's as great as her fans make her out to be. Her fans act like she's Serena Williams to tennis. She's not that. Before jury, she was, in my opinion, borderline legendary gameplay. After jury, she's been very helter-skelter. She'll do one move really good, have 2 poor moves after. She'll make up the ground on those two poor moves, then she'll do something off code, right? Now she's finally starting to win comps when there's less competition to win them over. I'm giving her credit for the comp tonight because it was not thrown to her. She earned that. But we would be fools to not admit she has been helped the most out of the 6 by these twists. She's been helped the most out of the 6 because her allies are the production pets. So by proxy, when Claire leaves, who do you think is going to be the Apex production pet? See what I'm getting at? It's going to be Tiffany over the other 5. It's funny, this community hates production pets until Tiffany becomes one. Then they act like, oh, well, let's accept this one. No, that usually is a bad sign. Usually the one who production wants to win is not the most deserving. That's just my opinion. Tiff just said she will put up Claire if she needs to. Well, that's if she needs to, Blockstar. That's a contingency. And I highly doubt she backdoors Claire if Alyssa wins veto. I don't believe it. I don't. I think she's saying that now because she has to say that now. If Tiff was planning on throwing up 2 black people in Final 7 and then backdooring Claire, I doubt she backdoors her before Final 7 even comes. You gotta think about it. She's not gonna work that hard to gain SB's vote, then lose Claire's vote, because that could lose DX's vote. You see what I'm saying? She's not gonna run that risk. She just has to act like she's on code to a certain extent so fans don't catch on to what she's really doing. Tiff can easily put Claire up as a pawn. She hasn't done so far. It's easy if she makes it easy. It's not easy for her. You got to think about it, Rod. She has put Claire on a pedestal she has not put a single black woman this season on. She has done stuff for Claire. She has even figured out a way to mend fences with Big D temporarily just to hand Claire a twist. These are things she would never do for Azza. So if y'all really are trying to create the narrative, she would throw up Claire. I think she's more likely to throw up Azza this week than Claire as the replacement nom. Hashtag that. She not throwing up no Claire this week, bro. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. Look, if she ends up sending Claire home because Alyssa somehow clutches a veto, I'll give Tiffany a credit because she's proven to be on code. She's proven to put the 6 above her personal game. I just don't think she has that in her locker. A leopard doesn't change its spots. Donnie says that's why X is scary. He might be a Christian Derek X type competitor, but he's been throwing all season. Yep. And he threw all the right ones. I mean, he threw the HOH, which made him a third nom during one of the scarier weeks just because he trusted his team. That took a lot of balls. I don't think any other player in the 6, under the same circumstances, throw that specific week. I don't think they do it. And that's why he deserves his credit. Xavier seems lots of screen time. Well, that's the thing. Xavier is getting a lot of screen time, but I think it literally is just because Kylan's all over the place. Big D isn't doing too much. Xavier is pretty much the perfect blend of great gameplay without taking yourself too seriously. He's kind of like the merge. He's kind of like the fusion of Big D and Kylan to a degree, but he's on code 24/7. So for production, they gotta push him the most out of the men. They got to, you know. Deadwalk asks a question. Since there's two double evictions coming up, who's your 4 votes that go home? Okay, Alyssa goes this week. I think some crazy stuff can happen during that double where we could see someone black go home, but I'm going to rely on the 6. I'm going to say Claire follows her out. Then I think Tiffany gets sent home. Then I think the house turns on Xavier. That's what it feels like. It feels like no one is threatened by Kylan winning the game. And I could see a scenario where Tiffany leaves, Kylan wins HOH, and Kylan keeps Xavier from winning the veto. So I could see that scenario. Exactly, Precious. She is scared to put up Claire. That's my point, though. How can you so easily say I would throw up 2 members of the 6, but then be scared to put up Claire, yo? Like at the end of the day, you need to pick the 6 over her, bruh. She's 1 vote. She'll understand. You have done so much for this girl that she didn't really deserve from you. Like, you have made her life in this house better than damn near any other non-black person probably this entire season. Her experience is as good as anyone else's. She has had 2 weeks of safety, huh? She was gifted a secret HOH she didn't have to do anything for, but be DX's friend. Like, at the end of the day, you have done more than enough for this girl, man. At a certain point, let her go. Now, I get why she wouldn't let her go this week. That's just bad gameplay. I'm not saying Tiffany should choke so other people can benefit from it. I'm not Tiffany fans. I don't prey on Tiffany's competition to choke so she can rise. That's not how I get down. But what I am saying is, at the end of the day, if Alyssa somehow comes off that block by winning the comp, Claire's not touching. I don't believe it. But if Tiffany is foolish enough not to make sure Claire touches that block, well, then she knows she's going to be sent home in final 7. The whole group going to turn on her. The rest that's left is going to turn on her for that. And then before you know it, Claire is going to make it to final 4 over a lot of members because of what Tiffany did. So I'm hoping Tiffany don't do that. But once again, that's contingent on a whole bunch of what ifs. Claire would understand she has no path of winning this game. I don't think she would understand that, Lexi. I mean, this girl held a grudge with SB for taking DX out and keeping her around by backdooring DX. Like, like at the end of the day, I don't believe for 1 second she will understand. I don't know. Anyone but Tiffany taking her out, I think she'll understand. I mean, she already is hating on Hannah a little bit. But if Tiffany were to do it, that would hurt. I mean, you saw SB. Tiffany taking her out hurt SB a little bit. SB didn't see that coming. SB had no relationship with Tiffany to the likes of Claire's. If Tiffany were to take Claire out because there's no other non-black person to take out, Claire would look at it and go, I don't get it. Why? Why now? Why me? Right? It would lead to her sulking all around the house. I'm telling y'all what's going to happen, man. Tiffany not going to want that. And once again, she won't want to risk losing DX's vote by doing Claire like that. You got to understand, Claire votes in a block with DX. The way you send her out that door impacts how many votes you get in the process. Anna says, I think the only way X or Kai can win is to take each other. And see, that's the thing. Because Kylan is in this I'm willing to lose to nobody but Tiffany bag, which just comes off as hater, hate. I don't understand that thought process at all from Kylan, honestly. I really don't. But because that's his perspective, I don't think Xavier will be able to trust Kylan to take him that far. At a certain point, Xavier wins an HOH, he has to depend on another man to cover his 6 and win the next one. If Kylan is just coming after him the minute he wins an HOH and is the sitting duck, X won't make the end with Kylan. So that's what it really comes down to. The only person X can really depend on is really Big D here. And I'd argue if Ozza wakes up, he can depend on her too. But Ozza's falling for the okie doke right now. Clara doesn't need to understand, just be glad for the time spent, period. Deborah, you know that's not how jury people think. I agree with you though. She should be very grateful she has been along for the ride this long. She's been listen, she's been treated better than any black person on the bottom of an alliance or on the bottom of a game with a large alliance looming in front of them. She's been treated better than anyone that is outnumbered I have ever seen in my life. She doesn't really have the right to be bitter. But we know this game, and we know the white girl crying technique will lead to DX being bitter on her behalf too. I guess Tiff wants to hold on to Claire for her locked in jury vote. Of course, it only makes sense. I'm not knocking Tiffany for wanting to keep Claire safe this week. I'm just saying if Alyssa wins the veto, Tiffany's going to be exposed but to a lot of people. Because, see, a lot of people want y'all to think Tiffany is not playing an anti black game. Let Alyssa win that veto. Y'all going to see the real Tiffany come out. And I'm going to be sitting here with my Bombay and lemonade chuckling. Not because I wanted her to be off code, but because I knew it would happen. But, ladies and gentlemen, this rant was supposed to be mainly a freestyle. I'm really just here to entertain. Y'all know in the next rant, we're going to provide a deep dive. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, because we have the same HOH a second week in a row, I don't think it's going to be really deep divey. But it is going to be a live feeds update nevertheless. I will provide my unmatched analysis, and we are going to get to the bottom of all of this and break down all of the mistakes and the good moves that Tiffany is likely to make this week. She has a unique advantage here where she can push her narrative throughout the house for 14 straight days. If Tiffany cannot figure out a way to make herself into someone that people are willing to go to the end with after 14 straight days of power, she's not that good. All right. In my opinion, she should have took the 7 weeks of power, laid low, let someone else win, let Kylan be hated for another 7 days by winning this one again. All right. You know Kylan probably goes after Alyssa right now because he wants to prove himself to you anyway, Tiffany. I think you may have dropped the ball by not trusting Kylan to win this HOH to become the bigger threat over you so you could at least have a buffer to make it past Final 6. I think you beating Kylan in this competition, it makes you a bigger threat than him long term, meaning you are the bigger immediate threat to the 6. I think you could have choked your game away by winning this comp, but only time will tell. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you could, please do not forget to like this video, comment underneath it, and share with all the fans of Big Brother 23 that you rock with, Coach. I'm Dave Smith of Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism.